Welcome to the Black and Gold Today, sponsored by Cadillac of New Orleans. I'm Jim Derry. I've surveyed the Houdat landscape, and for the most part, it seems as if most of those pesky dandelions have been dealt with, and it's all lush green grass. The Eagles stink, they say. This one should be easy, I hear. Yeah, Chip Kelly is a doofus. Sam Bradford, the faithful opine. But it is just for wishful thinking. Truth is, we'll find out a whole lot about both of these teams this weekend in Philadelphia. And for all intents and purposes, the loser is in a deep hole likely not escapable. And with that, we turn to a man who just minutes from now will either make fans of the Black and Gold rise and cheer his brilliant prediction or throw a tomato at their iPads. And with that, here's Larry Holder. Makes me almost want to skip right to the extra point.
I think it depends on if you trust my prediction to be good or if it goes the opposite way. Like if I pick them to win, they lose. If I pick them to lose, they win. So I think they're just going to throw stuff at me anyway.
Okay, well, you're on a one-game losing streak. So
Exactly. I'm 2-2. Saints are 1-3, so there you go.
Well, we can't cheat our viewers. Let's get to the pick six. And today I have collected some of the best comments and questions from your columns and stories this week, and I'll present them to you here.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see where this goes.
Mostly about the defense and rookies, so let's get right to it. Number one, on Haoli Kikaha, David Y. says, let's see, the Saints draft a guy who led the nation in sacks, and what do you know? He's getting sacks in the NFL. Maybe drafting isn't so tough after all.
It's still tough for the Saints, but look, you go get a guy, and there were question marks around this guy. Had a couple knee surgeries, but then his last 2 seasons in college definitely had 32 sacks, big-time pass rusher ability, and he's learning a new position in the NFL, strong side linebacker, but he's certainly paving his way, and you could tell even as a pass rusher, he's getting more accustomed to going against those high-quality tackles as opposed to just using sheer athletic ability to win battles in college.
And people talk about he and Anthony, and they're going up against kind of a little banged-up offensive line this week.
Right, and Lane Johnson might be back, which will help the Eagles. But look, their offensive line has not been that good anyway, and so I suspect with a healthier secondary, the Saints may do some more exotic blitzes. We started seeing a little bit this past week.
Number two, Bring Back the Dome Patrol says, the defense is improving weekly. Ryan needs to let Browner sit since Lewis is now healthy. Browner has become an obvious liability.
Well, he is a liability when you go deep. I mean, there's no question about it. And it's weird because his skill set only seems like he can rough up a guy at the line of scrimmage, and after that, if you go 10, 15 yards down the field, he's going to get caught. And so I'm curious to see what they do. They put him a lot on Jason Witten in the second half, put him against a tight end, because you're going to have Lewis back, you're going to have Bro ready to go. You even have Swan, who's been playing a lot of cornerback as well. So I'm curious to see what they do with Browner, because you can't just bench the guy. I mean, he's a captain on the team. You can't just bench this guy.
You can invest a lot of money in yellow cloth.
Well, they don't have to invest any because the officials provided for him, because he's one of the league leaders in penalties, which is probably to no one's surprise.
Free yellow cloth. Speaking of the Dome Patrol, and you responded to this next one, but Michael Wolverton writes, the 0-3 Saints win a game against a 2-1 team without Romo and Bryant, and the Squirrels think the defense is a reincarnation of the Dome Patrol.
Well, I'm assuming he's not referring to me as a squirrel, because I have not referred to them as that. But look, I think you're seeing building blocks with the defense. Is it always going to be pretty? No, but you've got all these young faces. And just shows you how much they actually trust these guys by getting rid of Akeem Hicks. See Bobby Richardson play well. You're seeing Tyler Davison play well. And they've even got some younger guys who aren't playing that much at defensive tackle that they trust. So not the Dome Patrol, but they are improving, and I think that's a plus.
Not on the list, but is it time to get off Rob Ryan's case? I mean, he's got a ton of rookies here. He's trying to teach these kids how to play NFL football, and all I hear is how bad Rob Ryan is. What is he supposed to do?
I don't think you're ever going to have to be able to get off his case, though, because if they're not good, they're not good, and that's on him. They weren't good with a bunch of veterans last year, and if they're not good with rookies this year, what else do you do?
I got Stephen Harder with Dennis Allen standing over his shoulder.
Right, exactly. Or in his face, not even over his shoulder, in his face.
Number 4, Field Marshal says, Chris Collinsworth finally said it on national TV. Everyone around here loves Chris Collinsworth. Nobody likes to use the R word, but this team is rebuilding.
There's no question. And I could tell you within the Saints facility they don't want to use that word, but it's the backdrop and they know it. And people say blow up the team if things go awry. Well, they've pretty much blown it up as it is. People, when they refer to blowing it up, basically means Drew Brees and Sean Payton getting out, but they've blown up a lot of parts already. So they are certainly rebuilding, and I think that's the expectation on Airline Drive. You'll never hear them say it publicly, but I think they know that this is a rebuilding team.
I don't think we're going to have to wait to the extra point to have tomatoes thrown at iPads.
I walk down the street and people are throwing stuff at me. It doesn't matter.
Oh, at least you got a clean shirt. Number 5, Jedi says, this is the Saints' best draft class since 2006.
Overall, there's no doubt as of right now. And you always, and it's true, you judge a draft class 3 years down the line. Now, overall right now, they're playing well. A lot of them are playing, outside of really Andrus Peat, who is playing a little bit, and Davis Tull's hurt. But you're seeing a lot of these guys playing already. And so they loaded up by design because they knew it was a rebuild year, and they had to go out and get picks. And that's what they did. 9 picks. It's the most I can remember in the Sean Payton era. So they're getting production out of those guys early, and you're seeing growth. It's not just they're doing kind of flash in the pan. You're seeing consistent growth from a lot of these guys.
Bill Belichickian.
Well, let's not go that far. And then we're going to bring up Gates again, and Saints already had their one Gate, and I never want to see that again.
You see, I wasn't going to talk about you bringing up Gates.
Look, I lived.
The only Gate I want to hear about is Antonio Gates.
But he was suspended too, so that's a scandal there as well.
He's like 49 years old too. Number 6, and we'll finish the segment with Platinum, who says, I'm not going to talk about playoffs yet.
Well, Platinum's right. I wouldn't even.
Which part, the yet? Or?
Both.
Okay.
I wouldn't talk about playoffs, and I wouldn't talk about them yet, because the only time you can really get into going playoff chatter is if they get over 500. And we've seen when they've dug holes in the past, they can't get over 500. They can get to it, but then they crumble. And so, especially within the division right now, don't even talk about any of that. Just look for consistent improvement.
Well, now they're throwing plums and bananas and squash at the screen.
As long as it's not knives, I think we'll be all right.
The Apple Store is going to be like bombarded because of all their screens that are screwed up.
Well, we'll just bring it to our computer guys. They'll fix it, right?
We'll be right back with the moment you've all been waiting for. Friday's Extra Point is coming, which means it's time for Karnak and Nostradamus to predict the future.
What's one of the nicest things that comes with your new Cadillac from Cadillac of New Orleans? 0% interest.
Get 0% interest on all new Cadillacs, now at Cadillac of New Orleans. New owners, new attitude, on Lime Street in Rye in Metairie.
Which one you want to be? If you want to be Karnak, you got to put the hat on.
I don't even know who Karnak is.
Oh, jeez.
So there you go. I know, like Morgus. Does he predict anything?
No.
Okay.
But let's just jump right into it. Who you got?
I am jumping on the Saints bandwagon. It's been a while since I'm jumping on it, and I'm jumping on it. I think they win 24-20. I just think the Eagles are reeling. I think the Saints are getting better by the week. They're getting healthier. Now, if Teron Armstead doesn't play, I think that's a huge problem because he was injured in the last game and has been in and out of practice this week. And so I think it's going to be a tough game, but they have confidence. They've won there recently. They've won there a few times under the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era. So I think they go up there and win, and the Beavis or Butthead, whoever you were trying to mimic earlier in the show, will arise up in Philadelphia for the Eagles.
I got to say, this is the first time I think I've been surprised. I did not expect you
that I actually picked them to win?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect you to. I definitely did not expect you to pick the Saints to go on the road in Philly. If as bad as they are right now.
Philly's worse, though.
No, maybe so. Well, I got called an idiot by a 17-year-old boy in my house last night, but I'm going to go with my pick. I think the Eagles win the game. I think going up there it's a tough place to play. They, as desperate as the Saints are, they are not in rebuilding mode, and I think that they're not as bad as everybody thinks they are.
Well, they're worse because they're building with veterans, and look at Byron Maxwell, who's getting crushed. And Malcolm Jenkins hasn't exactly panned out there either.
I think DeMarco Murray has 150 yards.
For the season or for this game?
No, in this game.
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. 27-21 is my pick. Don't throw tomatoes at me. He's ready for it. Well, another week of black and gold is in the books, and now that we have made our picks, it's time for you to make yours in the poll at the bottom of our blog. We'll release the results on Monday, and we'll see who was right and who was not so right. I know y'all want me to be not so right. See you next week, my friends. Enjoy the game.